Good morning and welcome to the Stahls TV Morning Show. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Josh, and this is our first show of the new year. You were about ready to talk again, weren't you?
That's okay.
Yeah, the opens, we're kind of working on those. Is this our fourth year of the morning show?
I think so.
Something like that. We'll roll with it. Fourth year, there's hundreds of episodes at this point published. We got renewed for another year. We're excited about that. Don't think there was any risk to not getting renewed, but we appreciate you guys watching us live all the time as we kick off an exciting new year. We have plenty to talk about. Today, we're going to focus in on some predictions and really some trends that we see happening in the industry. Hit some highlights of those and try to share some advice and take your questions around what you're thinking, your thoughts around what you're seeing. And then we're going a lot of places this month, aren't we?
We are. Yeah, we have an action-packed month, and it really doesn't stop after January. We continue all the way for about the first 6 months of the new year. So in January, we have a lot of trade show travel planned. Right now, ASI Orlando is happening, and it's, from the people there, has been pretty successful.
Yeah.
And then we have PPI Las Vegas and ISS Long Beach. So a lot of really cool places to visit. If you're looking to get out to the trade shows, we really hope to be able to see you guys. I'll be at ISS Long Beach. You'll be in Vegas and Long Beach. So.
I knew you were going to do it, by the way.
What?
Call it ISS.
Oh, crap. Yeah, it's impressions now.
Yes, that's one of the fun things. It's so tough. Like, I'll start writing emails, and we've called this show ISS, the Imprinted Sportswear Show. For our whole career here, that's been the name of the show, but it's now switching to the Impressions Expo. But either way, it's the same people, same event, new name. It's from the folks that publish the Impressions magazine, and that's the event in Long Beach. And if you can make it to one show all year, maybe you can still get a last-minute flight and get out to Long Beach. I hear the weather is beautiful, and I know that the convention hall is jam-packed with vendors, and there's also a lot of classes happening at that event.
Yeah, it's considered the largest show of the year, so there's a lot to see.
Yeah, and we'll both be there. So what better reason? We'll be racking up the frequent flyer miles.
Yeah.
Over the next couple weeks. And then I know for those that may not be able to book a last-minute trip, there are many events throughout the year at different shows. So what are some of the websites people can go to find out about the trade shows and the schedule throughout the year?
Well, we always have those events posted on our website for sure. And then Printwear Magazine is really good about letting people know what trade shows are going to be in certain areas. But if you're actually looking for the people that are hosting the expos, the Decorated Apparel Expo is a good one, as well as the NBM show as well.
Yeah, so you have your Impressions shows, your NBM shows, and also the Decorated Apparel Expo. And I know that it seems like the shows are pivoting more towards, I don't want to call them small markets, but different cities, I should say. So I know that Baton Rouge is one place that hit the list that maybe one of us or both of us will be going to this year. Back in Minneapolis for you, correct?
Yeah, and Kansas City.
In Kansas City. And then I know that there's one going on in Northern California coming up where we'll be exhibiting at Transfer Express. So lots of different unique areas. It seems like it's spreading across the country. So make sure you support those trade shows. They keeps them coming back to your city, and attend the education there. That's a great opportunity. So we have some folks watching. Gina's going to see you at DAX, Kansas City.
Nice.
This year. That's good. We'd love to hear where everybody's going. It looks like we have somebody from Winston-Salem. I think there's a Charlotte show coming up this year again as well. And let's see, we have from Ottawa, Canada, Mike, good morning and Happy New Year. I know there are several shows in Canada that we go to. The name's escaping me right now, but we just did one to kick off the new year where Mike Koval from our office here in the U.S. traveled up to support our Stahls Canada team. So lots happening. So without further ado, we have the look of the week. That's going to continue this year. Do you want to share the look that you selected today?
Yeah, so I chose this one because of the placement. So typically what a lot of decorators tend to lean towards is just your standard full front, left chest, maybe a name on the back, but the sleeve print is really popular and we see it a lot in retail. So that's what really stood out to me about this one. And then obviously the split text effect that I'm a huge fan of. And he used Premium Plus for this, particularly with the polyester hoodie, which was a great choice for that low temp application.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this look, this style of look before, certainly at retail. I know you've shown it in a couple of videos and even some techniques in our videos how to create this look in CADWorks. But the split text effect, and then Devin even took it a step further by adding those that striping, that show-through area in the bottom part, so it gives it that cool look to it. I like it.
And you see that look a lot in the NFL. If you pay attention to the people on the sidelines, you see this effect in those designs, which I found really cool.
Great. Yeah, inspired by professional sports. We see a lot trickle down from sports into professional sports, sometimes even collegiate, pushing the envelope down to the high school level. So pay attention. To submit the look of the week, there's a few ways to do it. One is Saturdays, we do a show and tell on our Stahls Facebook page. You can share the look you want to submit there. We pull a lot from there. Or you can tag us on Instagram with the look. Either way, we love it when you share the results. There's no prize other than fame of being shared on the morning show and inspiring others, and that's what we like to do here. So if you want to read these full predictions for the year, this is a piece that I love to put together every year, and I publish it on Ted Stahls' blog, which is tedstahl.com, and there's a ton of great content that hits that blog throughout the year. But we wanted to kind of dive in to some of these predictions and elaborate on them a little bit more. And so we're randomly just going to pull out 4 to 6, depending on how much time we have, and you can read the rest over at tedstahl.com. It's the last blog post that's happened there right now. So one of the ones I want to start with, and this is really more laying down the challenge to decorators as we approach the new year. The prediction was you will succeed as an apparel decorator. And of course I can't guarantee your success in my prediction, but it was more in the spirit of the question is, how will you measure success? And so Jenna knows I'm going to hit her with this question. Jenna, how will you measure success in 2020?
Right, so when you asked me this question about a half hour ago as we were running through this, I didn't have an answer, and I still haven't been able to come up with one within that time. So that's definitely something that's a big question that everyone who owns a business needs to consider. And it takes some time to think about, but whenever you're talking with different customers in the industry who have been in business for a while, they have found a way to measure success, whether that be with how much money they have left in their bank account or what vacation they're able to take. So there's definitely different ways to measure success.
Good. I'm proud of you. You didn't even boomerang the question back at me. I fully expected that. But I think that's one of the things that I hear when I'm out there. We ask the question is, how do you define success? How will you measure success? What means that you're successful at the end of a given period, whether that's a year, a month, a quarter, a day, an hour? I think having those that ultimate measurement of top line success is great. Some do that through financial deliverables. Some do that through basic things like I think Gina on the line said in our podcast is just seeing somebody wear your work out there, which is kind of good credibility that people like my stuff and they're wearing it. There's no wrong or right answer, but I think having a measurement is important. So as you think about 2020 and your business goals, I would encourage you to have a very simple way of measuring success from the very highest level, 1 or 2 simple measurements of success that can be clearly defined. And then along the way, it's helpful to put in what's called KPIs, key performance indicators. So you may not be able to measure that ultimate success till you hit the end of December of 2020 and say, I've made it through the year, but you should have some milestones or checkpoints that you can set up and saying, how will I make sure that I'm progressing to this goal? What does that look like? And so I would encourage you to just work on the business. If you're an employee in the business and you work for the business, how can you measure success in your individual role? And that will help kind of be your compass as you move throughout this year. So I saved it for number 10 on my predictions because it's one of the things I'm most passionate about.
Well, then I'm sure important. The viewers would love to know how you measure success.
I'm sure they would. And so you'll have to tune in 2 weeks to see how I measure success.
All right, cool.
And I'll give it to you at the end of the episode.
Okay, all right. All right, so along with that, you did mention in the article the Big Squeeze produces lemonade. So can you elaborate a little bit on what the Big Squeeze is?
Yeah, so the Big Squeeze was a term that I don't know if I coined it, but I used it last year in my 2019 predictions. And the reason why is when we're engaging with decorators, even reading like state of the industry reports that are out there, what is on Apparel Decorators' mind is undoubtedly competition and competitive threats. And so last year the theme was, and really for the last few years, is the theme as the crafter, the home-based business, the hobbyist that buys a desktop cutter, perhaps uses an iron or maybe an inexpensive heat press, is cutting into my business as a mid-sized decorator. So you're having this small user. Many of you are probably watching the show that got your business started like that, or maybe you're still in that stage, really taking a bite out of the decorated apparel marketplace. And then from the top side of that, why it's a squeeze is you have a small decorator that's moving up and taking market share, and you have large companies that are typically funded by private equity, so there's more of an interest from private equity and sports and spirit wear that are acquiring, in the team dealer space, it's very prevalent, acquiring dealers that have been in business sometimes for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, that there's really not a good succession plan set up. Acquiring these businesses is a way for them to move on. And really putting more market pressure because they have big websites and can do things a little bit differently through technology. And right in the middle of those two is the mid-size decorator. And that mid-size decorator is feeling that squeeze where they're getting pushed from both angles, and really the competition was fierce in 2019. And so my point is, the big squeeze produces lemonade is that's the new competitive landscape. It's not going away. There's going to be startup businesses entering through the craft and hobby realm. That's going to continue to persist and I think even expand because it's just good potential and there's more awareness around it, the more companies you have getting into it. And I think you're also going to see more private equity companies and bigger businesses get more aggressive through things like print networks, which we can talk about in a bit, that were also cited in the predictions. And so that mid-sized decorator has the opportunity. They can either gripe about it, right, and complain, and I think a fair amount of that we all do, right? I complain a fair amount. But at the end of it, you have to figure out, how am I going to take those lemons and make them lemonade, to use the old saying. And I've been encouraged through more conversations. Decorators are finding their niche, their creative niche, so they can really stand out and really own maybe a smaller piece of the pie, but really leverage their advantages that they have through connections, through being local, and being able to excel. So some decorators will fail, per usual. Small businesses do go out of business more often than they succeed or last 5 years, but the ones that have found a way to leverage a niche are excelling and succeeding.
Right. And I think that kind of plays in hand with the amount of exposure on social media for this particular industry. I mean, from small videos on how to just add a picture to a t-shirt to people actually explaining a direct-to-garment printing process, that's huge, all right? So that's been incorporating more and more throughout the years. And I think that brings us to number 2, you will harness the influencer. So we see a lot of influencers doing this, whether it be the craft market or the larger printing processes throughout YouTube. And I think YouTube goes a long way for a lot of businesses if we can really grasp that and start integrating that and creating videos so that your customers can see different things.
Yeah, so YouTube, if my facts serve me right, is the number 2 search engine in the world, next to Google. And so video content is no surprise that video is one of the most in-demand content pieces that are out there. We do a ton of it here. That's why we have Stahls TV. That's why we build it. But I think the same is true as an apparel decorator for your customer. And so can you just quickly define, like, how would you define an influencer as a general term?
I would define an influencer as someone that is taking product and showing different ways to use it and things that they're doing with it to kind of market towards a certain niche. So if it's the craft market, we see a lot of influencers using the Cricut or the Silhouette and showing different projects that they can create with just that $300 machine.
Sure.
And that clicks with people that are interested in crafting. So influencers definitely vary based off of market or the niche that they're after, but that's a strong example of what an influencer is doing right now in our industry.
Yeah, I think to put it simply, they teach, they inspire, and really as a product of teaching and inspiring is they create a following. And so either as a business to market, either you can create the following yourself, which is really, I think, the long goal for most businesses is to create the following yourself, because then you can control the content fully and you kind of have it locked in within your business. So I would try to create the following myself, but that is a long road for a lot of businesses. So the other option is that you partner with people that are already have audience, have a following in the space you want to reach. So maybe there's somebody that teaches folks how to be a great fisherman, something I know zero about, right? But how to select the right pole, the right line, the right bait, whatever it might be, right? So they're educating, they're creating this following of people that are passionate or want to learn about that topic. Maybe you have the ability to print and want to market to that audience, so why not leverage your decorated apparel, try to get it on those folks that already have the following, work out a deal to be able to reach that audience with decorated apparel.
Yeah, and networking is huge. I know just for me, my side hustle is doing makeup on occasion, so any type of event makeup. And recently, I've reached out and networked with people in an area that I'm not affiliated with. So we're going to get together and produce videos because we can connect the content together and reach a wider range of people. So there's definitely different ways to do it, but I think networking is huge so that you can get connected with people that are outside of your current demographic that you're reaching.
Good. So lots of talking, lots of ideas, and hopefully inspiration as we talk through. Those are three broad points that were in the prediction. Let's get into some product specifics now when we talk about these predictions. So one of the ones I want to talk about is they're kind of associated, and one I made was the 360 IQ hat press gets product of the year. It's a little bit self-serving. It actually got product of the year at Printing United in 2019, but I predict that it'll go even further because I think it's that much of a game-changing innovation for the ability and what it can actually print onto headwear.
Yeah, it's still so new. There's so much that you're going to be able to do with it. There's just so much potential there, and we only launched it within the last 3 months of the year, so...
Well, so new, we're still shipping orders that were placed in November. So we're a little bit behind, lots of pre-orders and people seeing the value. But I'm told, and I won't make any promises, that we'll be caught up to date in mid-February, but I guess that depends on how many decorators buy it out there in Long Beach or Vegas or wherever we're at. But there's a trend that's connected to that, and that's really this growth of this, we can call it patch business or dimensional logos, for lack of a better word. And so whether that is, let's zoom in on these results, whether that is, he's already working on it, laughing at me. Flex Style, which has been a product that's been out there in the market for a while, but continues to grow with the variety of effects that are available. Some decorators call this liquid embroidery, where it looks like just a premium, it is a premium logo that's just heat applied rather than sewn on. And then what we're looking at on this hat, let's try to turn it to the side, you can see the dimension there, is actually 3D embroidery. One of the most challenging things is to embroider a hat and then add 3D foam underneath that embroidery. It's just really a headache for a lot of decorators. If you do it well, you're probably selling a ton of it because not many people can do it well.
Don't you have to add foam in there or something and then embroider over top of it?
Yeah, there's different depths of foam for the process, and to get a different pile, so to speak, or dimension. And what you'll see here on these 3D embroidered emblems, it's just a heat applied logo. So it really takes all the technical parts of the process, they're done for you, kind of just like screen printed transfers, and all I have to do is use my heat press, and that puts a ton of power in the decorator's hands that owns a quality heat press, or in this case, a 360 IQ cap press.
Yeah, and this is really new to me, so I don't know a ton about it, but they'll just upload their own designs and we'll make this for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, let me clarify that. That's the future state, right? This is 2020 prediction. So Flex Style, the answer is yes. That's a product that's live on Stahls.com today. I'm not showing it here, but leather patches will be next.
I'm excited for the leather patches.
That's definitely going to launch in January, barring some disaster, right? that happens in IT. Sometimes those things happen. And what's next is these 3D embroidered emblems. You're getting a sneak peek. If you had a really big order, you could probably call our customer service line or email us and we can connect you to place the order. But to be able to just upload an order in an automated way, I imagine that's coming sometime in the first quarter of this year. I'm very hopeful for February. So I know you haven't heat applied one of those before. It's so new. I've done a little bit of experimenting, and so we thought it'd be funny and helpful to have Jenna heat apply her first 3D embroidered emblem on air with the 360 cap press.
What he really meant to say was it would be funny to watch me fail live on camera.
That's why we have a backup.
All right, so 360 cap press. We're going to be pressing a 100% polyester cap, flex fit.
Yep.
All right, so to load on, going to take it from the side and then make sure we're moving that visor. And this is flush up against the bottom platen. So the bottom platen is heated up to 320 degrees and the top at 280.
Gonna lock the hold down device, nice.
All right, yeah, so the lever, that's locking that in place so this isn't moving around on me and it's making this flush up against that platen so we're getting a nice even pressure. All right, and this is the scary part.
Yeah, maybe hold that up to the camera so people can get a close look of how that will arrive to them. So you can see it has the 3D embroidered element to it. On the back of it is actually heat activated adhesive.
Sorry.
Other direction. Heat activated adhesive. And you're seeing another clue there. Jenna, did you get engaged recently?
Yeah.
Get the wedding scheduled for 2020?
Yes, yeah.
So I predict that Jenna will, in fact, get married in 2020. We got a nice close-up there. But anyways, we got the patch ready to go and apply.
All right. So let's try to not make this crooked. And the cover sheet we're using is a foam pad. All right, so this has to be as thick as the patch you're applying, right?
Yeah, you get 3 of those cover sheets with the press, and there's a thin, a medium, and a thick. This is a medium, about a 1/4 inch thick, and that's perfect for this 3D embroidered emblems.
All right, so now I'm just locking it down.
Yep, you just want to hold it after you lock it down until you feel that magnet engage. Did you check the pressure before you did any of that?
No.
Okay.
So pressure change.
Yep. There you go, it
Okay.
engaged.
All right, so that little click means it engaged. All
Yeah,
right.
you got kind of just because of the foam pad and it compressing, you have to hold this one for an extra second to make sure that magnet engages appropriately.
okay.
And so top heat's 280, bottom heat's 320. We leave ourselves a little bit of wiggle room because what I found is that 280, 320 works for 90% of the hats out there. You'll get some hats that have a lot of acrylic in it, or maybe a beanie. I heard somebody ask a question about a beanie that may have a lot of acrylic content into it. At that point, you're probably gonna have to test one. You may have to drop that top heat down to 250 degrees and extend your time from 60 seconds to 75 seconds. So there's a little bit of an art more than a science to some of these based on the item you're applying. This is one of the few heat presses where you straight follow the recommendation for the press instead of the transfer. So what do we have? About 5 seconds left and it's gonna auto open for us.
All right. That's it. Right? It applied.
Yeah, let's get a close-up
It's not picking up or anything. I did it.
Yeah, nice job. You don't have any crease marks. That's what I want you to notice on this close-up view. I mean, this is a black performance wear cap, flex fit. So if something was going to scorch or crease, this is where you would see it. And even though we did 60 seconds, you're still not getting any of the impact because we're heating from underneath. We have the right curvature on the platen. If we kind of look behind you at the platen and see the curve in the silicone molded base, and because we're using this pad. So the combination of the 3 gives you the recipe to be able to heat press these hats accurately now with dimensional logos.
That is awesome.
So
I
let's
love
head
it.
over to back to the table. So that's one of the predictions. One is we think that product will win another award this year. We also think patches keep growing, growing, growing. They're not just for hats. They can be applied to beanies. I've seen some applications where we've applied them to jackets, which is another great opportunity, especially like workwear and that sort of rugged looking jackets. So lots of opportunities there.
Yeah. Gina asked, how will pricing run? Will it be similar to Flex Style? I would imagine these are going to have their own set pricing, and that will come out upon launch, right?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't have the pricing memorized on that one, but I would put it in the same ballpark as Flex Style. The model and the minimums will be slightly different, but it should be similar where it starts to make sense around, I would say, 25 to 50 pieces. as a minimum. And the cool thing here is, and this kind of goes along with any product we sell where you have a certain minimum, is design with these sizes of logos, and I can put this not only to a hat, I can press that same logo to a bag, to a jacket, and start grouping it. So even though the minimum's 50 or 25, doesn't mean I have to sell 25 hats.
Right.
Just means I need to sell 25 items with that size logo. And that's actually a powerful way to sell against other decorating methods.
Yeah, we always talk about that in our Good, Better, Best, is selling multiple pieces together with that same logo, because you're only paying for that image, but it's going across multiple items, so you get more of a sale.
Good. So one other thing I want to make sure we cover, and then I'm going to suggest you go over to tedstahl.com to read the rest of the projections, but I can't leave this one out because I projected this transfer product, which is stretch lithomat, or the concept of digital screen printed transfers, because we're going to be coming out with a new product in this category in February as well, that this category of product is going to be the top seller, the top grower of this decade for our group of companies. And so the reason why I'm so excited about this particular product is because, one, we have this large sheet size, and I can gang as many logos as I want, any amount of colors across one sheet, and really leverage the space. Also, you'll see here that there is a lot of detail in the design. You have full color, you have color gradients, you just have a lot of different use and functionality. Now, these logos are all similar and related to the same style, but you could put any logo on here. You could throw an American flag on here, and it would all be the same price per sheet, regardless of the number of colors.
And it feels amazing on anything, aside from nylon, of course, because you need a certain adhesive anytime you're applying to nylon. But I couldn't believe the comparison that we went over this morning, and this compared to other print or digital
So
finishes.
talk through that comparison if you don't mind.
So we had a brief meeting this morning on the digital printing process and all the different medias out there for it. So we went over the stretch litho, direct to garment, sublimation, print cut process, and then
the Oki process.
The Oki process,
The laser
yeah.
printed paper.
So same design, same amount of colors, same t-shirt material, and it was applied all of those different processes. And everyone chose this one on how it feels on a cotton poly garment.
And you're probably like, you're at Stahls, of course they chose that one, but it was
we didn't know which product was what whenever we were selecting it either.
Yeah, weighing in. So I think this is a big solution. You mentioned nylon. Stay tuned. February is going to be a big month for us because there may be some innovation happening around this transfer type for nylon. Who knows? Maybe it even will block dye migration. So there's that product's going to be like the grand slam. This is a home run, but you get the idea. There's a lot of print technology here. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is over the weekend I was playing with kind of Excel. I like Excel, and coming up with a profit formula to be able to centralize your fulfillment with this product and decoration, because I think what it really does is I'll say declutters an apparel decorator's amount of choices. You can centralize on one product, you can build price grids, you can build minimums, you can build samples, basically everything about your presentation around having a fulfillment product that's as versatile as this. And I think it really gives you the ability to get speed of response, instant quoting, some of those things. And so in that particular method, just to go back to the point, what kind of drew me to this is if I were doing this St. Patrick's Day design, I wouldn't have to say your minimum is 20 t-shirts with this St. Patrick's Day design. I would be able to go and say your minimum is 20 designs and freely let you mix and match a hoodie with a t-shirt, with a bag, depending on the size of the design, and bundle that and still give price breaks, because I'm going to save money when I order 20 of these designs or 50 of these designs as you get to quantity, but you just build your price grid in a way that no longer am I worried about design and placement. Lock that in, choose any garment you want, and we can decorate it with this process. And that gives an apparel decorator power over traditional screen printing, because you take this design and you screen print it. If I'm going to put that on a left chest, on a bag, on a short, and they're all in different places on the screen printing Now I need to burn a separate screen and set up a separate screen for this. Make it 3 colors, then your screen count's going up and up and up. So if a heat printer can really understand where the decoration technology like this stands out, they have a really big advantage using this to print their orders. So figuring out how to present that in a simple way so you all can latch onto it, best understand it, and best utilize it in your business will be one of my goals for this year. Talked about goals.
Yep.
Right? And the other one is viewership. And so that's how we measure success. We can measure sales success, and of course we all measure that. But I think one of the ways that will define whether we're successful this year is an increase in viewership, an increase in likes, and an increase in subscriptions. So trying to be influencers ourselves and inspire you and teach you how to do things, that's how we can measure success. So with that, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'd encourage you to like and subscribe. It'll help us reach our goals for this year. So let's take a couple more questions and then we'll close out this show. And you can check out the rest of the predictions.
Kelly wants to know what this digital transfer is called.
So that is called Stretch Litho Matte. Stretch Litho Matte. So we redid our Stretch Litho formula, and it is just way different. Almost wish we would have called it something else because it's so different, but it just feels awesome and has all the other benefits that the old Stretch Litho had as well.
Yeah. And will we be showing these items in Atlantic City? We definitely will be, correct?
Oh yeah, we have a great booth display heading out to Long Beach, all the shows, but Long Beach is a really big display. Atlantic City is a really big display for us. We'll have tons of samples. You'll even be able to apply some of these products yourself as part of our booth presentation. And the question is, what about a hat press without the heated bottom platen? So, Mike, you can apply any of these dimensional logos without a heated bottom platen. The risk is it takes a lot more time and a lot more temperature coming from the top. So it doesn't solve the scorching or the creasing issue. So you'll find yourself kind of confined to less of a product selection, like maybe a cotton twill unstructured cap. No problems, won't scorch, won't have any issues. But if you try to get into, a performance poly or something with some acrylic content, or with what we call a structured cap that has this fused buckram in the back, you won't be able to press that just with top heat only without impacting the integrity of the hat and scorching or creasing it. So that's the difference. All right.
Looks like that's all the questions.
All right, good. So if you have additional questions, feel free to ask them. And thanks, as always, for watching the Stahls TV Morning Show. This is our first episode of the year, and we have at least 25 more coming your way. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.